Well, hello everyone, and welcome to our free May 2025 webinar. I'm so excited that you are joining me today, and we're going to be talking about selling as an introvert and all of the big lessons that I have learned so that you can learn them because, being an introvert sometimes is not easy. And so I wanted to share these lessons with you on that I have learned after doing over 1,000 sales calls and how to talk to clients and how to have more confidence so you can win clients. So as you're joining me today, let me know in the chat where you're joining me from so that I can know where you are in the world. As you know, this is one of my favorite parts of doing webinars. So in that way, I also know if you're there because sometimes I don't know if you're there till I see you in the chat. So let me know. In the meantime, as you're doing that, just wanted to give you an update as far as where I will be next month. I will be presenting at the Scaling New Heights conference. I will be on the main stage. That's my first time. Super excited to be on the main stage as a panelist. And so has been one of my goals. So I'm super excited about that. And I will also be co-presenting with Jamie Troll. And we will be presenting a session on video marketing for accountants and bookkeepers. And we will be doing that on Wednesday of the conference. So if you haven't heard of Scaling New Heights conference, look it up. It's one of the biggest accounting conferences, and I'm super excited to be there. So let me look at the chat. I see that you guys have joined. We have Paulette from Indiana. Welcome. And I'm just going to skip over because there's so many of you. Usually Gary from Austin, Mark from Clearwater, Gloria from Los Angeles, Aisha from Chicago, Joanna from Atlanta, Billy from Central Florida, Rhonda from South Carolina. Let's see, Cindy from Northwest Montana. Welcome, everyone. Jackie from Tennessee. So again, welcome. And as you're joining, just let me know in the chat where you're joining me from. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, let me know in the comments where you're joining from. I always love to see where you're joining me from. I see Kelly from Houston. They're down the freeway from me here. Jessica from Titusville, Florida. How exciting. So again, welcome everyone. This is our free May 2025 webinar and talking about selling as an introvert and the hard-earned lessons that I have learned that I want to share with you to help you to win clients, and not just any client, but hopefully quality clients. I see Lucy from Toronto. Welcome. And let me move my chat so I can see more. Gloria from South Africa. Super exciting. So welcome, everyone. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. And again, talking about selling as an introvert and trying to get my presentation going. There we go. So in case you maybe just found out about me, maybe you found me on social media, my name is Veronica Wasek, and I am the unstoppable introvert. I'm the founder of 5-Minute Bookkeeping, which consists of a YouTube channel and a website and a very large, over 20,000 members in our 5-Minute Bookkeeping community on Facebook. Also, speaking of YouTube, we just reached 50,000 subscribers on YouTube. So I'm very proud about that. That's super exciting. And I'm also the founder of the 5MB Academy, where I empower virtual bookkeepers to become confident professionals to build thriving businesses and really to build the business and life of their dreams. And you can find me online on social media at 5-Minute Bookkeeping. All right, just some administrative announcements. This presentation is subject to copyright, so I ask that you wouldn't record it and share it on YouTube or other social media. We do have handouts that you will be provided, so you should see those in the handouts tab. If you don't, no worries. We will be emailing the recording and the handout to everyone. If you have any comments or anything, or if you want to talk amongst yourselves, please use the chat section to do that. But if you have a question for me, put that in the Q&A. I will be looking at the Q&A later and answering your questions. And by the way, my assistant Jill Keel is here, and she will be monitoring the chat, sharing links if I mention anything, sharing resources. So say hi to Jill in the chat, and she will say hi to you. So as I said, we're talking about selling as introverts. And I know that I come across as this very extroverted person. When you see me, you might see me on YouTube, my videos, on the, these webinars when I'm speaking. I'm excited, and actually, yes, I get that surge of energy when I talk to you guys, but I'm actually a very introverted person. And just to define what is an introvert, because sometimes we see being an introvert as being a negative, and for many years that's what I thought. Like, I'm just an introvert, can't do anything, can't be a business owner, can't be successful, because we got used to, like, all the popular kids in school were extroverts, and seemingly all of these successful business owners are extroverts, and all the people we see doing all these great things seem to be extroverts. But an introvert is just someone who derives their energy from being alone or being around a very small group of people. So as extroverts, we don't need to be around a lot of people to be energized. And in fact, we tend to get worn out when we are around a lot of people. So it's just a matter of, how you charge your or recharge your energies. And so it's harder for introverts to really get out there because it's a lot more work, and your body tries to protect you. Like, no, it's easier if we just stay in this weekend. We don't have to do anything, because it recharges your batteries. And so I've learned that, yes, I'm going to give you my best. I'm going to be energetic, but many times, honestly, and I end up taking a nap after doing this webinar, just because it does drain me. And as I'm sure it does you guys, if you're introverted, some things drain you. But we find that if we're passionate enough about what we're doing, we're going to push ourselves to do those things that maybe require more energy than others. But to talk about being scared to sell. So as I said, I kept thinking that I'm introverted. Selling is for salespeople, and I'm not a salesperson. I was very intimidated by the thought of having to force people to do things, or to convince them that they have to buy something from me. In fact, I hate being sold to, because I can spot a sales pitch a mile away. And so it's just very uncomfortable for me. When I started my business 15 years ago, I thought I'm a good accountant. I got all the debits and credits down. I'm a QuickBooks expert. I had all the certifications, all the things. But then I thought, what are the things where I'm weak? And I thought marketing and sales. But what I learned is that you can learn marketing and you can learn sales. And then with practice, you get better. And in fact, I ended up going back and kind of estimating how many sales calls have I done in the last 15 years. And it's probably about 1,000. And that's a lot. And I've learned a lot. And so I had to overcome that fear of selling, overcome that fear of rejection. There's a lot of fear also around sales and rejection, because we think that's a rejection of us somehow. But as I said, I have learned a lot of lessons, and I will be sharing them with you. So what are we going to cover today? Well, when I started out, and let me know in the chat, is this something that you are going through or you have gone through? There's so many questions, all the what ifs. What if this? What if that? How do I do this? How do I do that? So what we'll cover today will be questions, and then I will share my experiences with you to help you answer those questions that you have. So the first one, what if? The second one, what do I offer? How do I convince them? How do I get rid of tire kickers And how do I ask for the sale? So let me just check the chat really quick, make sure everything's good. Yeah, Lucy says that she's had 3 calls and nothing came of them. So hopefully you will learn some techniques today. And Laura says she hates being sold to. So definitely that is a problem. All right, so let's start with what if, okay? When I started my business, what if was like the biggest question I had. What if I fail? What if I succeed? What if, all these things. So when it comes to sales, I had a lot of concerns. What if I sound like I don't know anything? So let me know in the chat. Is that a concern or a fear that you have? You're scared to like open your mouth and your prospective client will just know you don't know anything. What if I don't know my prospective client's industry? And maybe they're going to ask me questions, or maybe they're going to ask me like, do you know about our industry? So what if I don't know anything about their industry? Third, what if I don't know what to ask them? I see many of you asking in my Facebook group, like you'll say, I have a discovery call tomorrow. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to ask, because you're so scared. Like you're just, all that fear kind of, it clouds your judgment. And that happens to me. Like my brain stops working when I get scared. And then what if I don't know how to start the sales conversation? And in fact, I didn't include, but another what if they ask me something that I don't know the answer to, and I'm going to sound stupid. So it might go back to what if I sound like I don't know anything, okay? But encapsulated, if we were to take all of these what ifs, what we're really saying is, what if I don't know what to say? Okay, so let's go through some techniques that you can use when you're talking to your prospective clients to avoid all of these what ifs. You need to have a process for starting your discovery call. So let me just quickly define what is a discovery call. So the discovery call is the first time that you talk to your prospective client and you're going to have a conversation. Some people call it like a free consultation. I hate to use the word consultation because it sounds like you're going to give them free advice. And believe I've done many free consultations and ended up giving away like an hour's worth of an actual consultation. So I prefer to call it a discovery call, so that the client already knows that or the prospective client already has an expectation of what the call is about. And actually, when you get on that call, it's probably going to be a Zoom call. Maybe you're going to be face to face. You need to immediately start the conversation, letting them know what is the purpose of the discovery call, so that you set the expectations. Okay. So it is a no pressure discovery call. The purpose is to learn that they're going to learn about you and your business. And then they're going to learn about you and your business. You're going to learn about the client and their business as well. And you're going to see if you're a good fit for working together. Okay, so that is the only purpose of a discovery call. We're going to learn about each other and see if we would be a good fit for working together. So sort of like dating, okay? Like we're going to see if we're a good fit. Keep in mind that the person asking the questions is always in control of the conversation. Okay, this is very important, that the more that you let the client take over and ask questions and kind of jump in right away, the more that they will control the conversation, and then it will be difficult for you to then bring it back. And so you need to remain in control. And notice also that the purpose of the discovery call is not a free consultation. We're not giving away free advice. And also, it's a way to take the pressure off of the prospective client, because they may be nervous also. And sometimes, when people are nervous, they talk. And so we need to lead the discussion. So we will discuss the purpose of the discovery call, and then we're going to immediately tell them tell me about yourself and your business. And usually I immediately also say, and why you reached out to me today. Okay, so let me give you an example of how I would say this. So let's say that I was doing a discovery call with Jill, and I would say, hi, Jill, so glad to meet you. So let me start out our discovery call just to let you know the purpose of our call today. So the purpose of our call is just a reminder that this is a no pressure discovery call, so that I can learn about you and your business. You can learn about how I do business, and so we can see whether we'd be a good fit for working together. So let's start out by let's have you tell me about yourself and your business, and also let me know why you reached out to me today. Okay, so I've said all of that very quick. So now they are going to talk. Okay, they're going to say something. And here's what I want you to do. You need to listen and you need to take notes, because most of the time they're going to tell you everything that you need to know. If you start out with that open-ended question and let them talk. So if you're worried about what am I going to say, what do I ask, like most of the time they're going to tell you everything that you need to know. So we need to listen very closely. Even if you have heard them, again, I've done about 1,000 sales calls. I have heard undeposited funds, right? I haven't reconciled my accounts. I'm behind for 3 years. I've heard it all. And I used to tune it out because I thought, oh, here we go again. They're going to tell me about how they messed up their books and all the things they're doing wrong. And yeah. And I just kind of would wait for them to talk. But they are telling you everything you need to know. And whatever they're telling you, like all their problems, that is where the value of your services equates to the amount of pain that they are experiencing. So I want you to, as I said, listen and take notes. It's totally okay for you to tell your prospective client that you're taking notes. In fact, if I'm meeting with them over Zoom, usually I'm like listening and typing. And if I need time, like if they're going a little too fast, I will just slow them down and say, oh, okay, just give me a moment to take some notes. And I've never had anybody have a problem with me taking notes. Okay, so you're going to take those notes. And next, we need to ask and clarify. Okay, so after they have gone through and told you everything, you have taken notes. What I typically do, just because it is a little bit overwhelming, and again, with my introverted mind, and also being a very logical person, that my brain doesn't fire them super fast. And so I will kind of go over my notes and sort of repeat some of the things that they have said, some of the big pain points, and then I'm going to clarify. So first of all, I'm showing them that I'm listening, because we're going back and kind of reviewing what they said. So for example, let's say that they told you I'm having problems with my bank reconciliations. I tried to do my bank reconciliations and they're not reconciling, and I deleted things or they may just say like, I'm having problems with bank reconciliations. Okay. So we can use a few phrases to then get more information from them. So for example, if they're having problems with their bank reconciliation, I would say, tell me more about why you're having problems with your reconciliation. So they might say, well, I went and deleted transactions. I undid reconciliations. Maybe, I hired my employee went in and things. So we're getting more details. Another thing that we can ask is why. Okay. So for example, when they tell us that, I work with this other bookkeeper and it just didn't work out, I had to let them go. Then we want to find out why. Okay. Tell me why things didn't work out with your previous bookkeeper, because then maybe actually that they caused the problem and not the previous bookkeeper, or that they had certain expectations, like, well, they were not answering my text at midnight, or whatever. And so it's a way to get more information from them, and then to really understand what your client needs and expects. We can also use the phrase, let's go back to when you said that you haven't filed your taxes for the last 3 years. Okay. Or let's go back to when you said whatever. Let's go back to when you said, you need to get a loan, and you need your financials as soon as possible. Let's talk more about that. Another way that we can get more information from them is to say, walk me through how that works in your business. So in this case, when we are talking to a client that maybe we don't understand their industry, or maybe they have a very specific way of doing business, then we want to understand how are they doing things. So just ask them to walk you through that. Another lesson I learned is never assume anything, especially when you're hearing a terminology that's like bookkeeping or accounting terminology that your prospective client is using. Most of the time, they're not using the right terminology. So for example, when they'll say, I just need someone to reconcile my books. And so I would think, well, okay, bank reconciliations, right? They're asking for a reconciliation. Well, no, they meant a cleanup, or just clean up the chart of accounts a little bit. Okay. They don't really mean the chart of accounts. They mean a giant cleanup. So most of the time I will ask them to, hey, tell me more about when you said you need your chart of accounts cleaned up. And so then they will tell you all of these things. I think one time when I asked someone to clarify what they meant by a reconciliation, he seemed a little disturbed. Like, does Veronica not know what a reconciliation is? And I just said, oh, I know what a reconciliation is, but many times prospective clients use that word in a way that means something other than how I understand it as an accountant and bookkeeper, and that he was fine. So most of the time clients don't have any problem giving you more information. So again, clarify, and then take more notes. Okay. So let's see. Aisha says, yes, I worry if I'll stumble over my words and sound like I don't know what I'm talking about. Paulette says, not knowing what I don't know how to ask. Yeah. And sometimes what I see that, people tend to act like they know something when they don't. And just to give you an example of, I don't know if you know this, but I was born in Chile. I came to the US when I was 13, and my mom and my grandparents came with us, and my grandparents never really learned to speak English very well. And so what they would do is that they would pretend like they spoke English. And so if we went somewhere, like say a restaurant, and the server is talking to them and trying to have a conversation, they would act like they knew English and would say, oh, yes, yeah, when they didn't. Okay. And so, of course, people would find out because, they couldn't respond. They were just nodding. So sometimes we do that. Like we feel like we need to pretend we know something when we don't. And one of the things that I have learned, and being an accountant of over, I think 30 years plus now, is that it is perfectly okay for me as a professional to say that I don't know that. Because what I have found is that the more that I progressed in my profession, the more specialized I get. And so there are things about many things about tax that I don't know. I'm a CPA, now retired, but I don't know what all the tax rules, and I'm perfectly okay with saying I don't know that. And so, we need to be okay with saying I don't know, but tell me more about that. Ask why. Let's go back to walk me through something, because I may not know something, but I know I can learn it. And that's a great skill set to have, the ability to learn something. Next, what if they ask for free advice? Um, and again, we get some of these prospective clients that, like, when they want free advice because they're just gonna like take over the conversation right away, and they're gonna start asking you questions. In fact, sometimes I would talk to prospective clients who would bring their whole team, and they're all asking questions, and we're very helpful people. And yes, I'm going to answer a couple of questions if I can, but many times I have to remind them. First of all, they're not a client. I don't know everything about their situation, and so here's a good way to stop that from happening. So let's say that they start to ask you for a lot of free advice. And so what you can say is, if you're looking for general guidance, I'm happy to share a few tips, but anything beyond that would fall into paid engagement or paid consultation. Okay, so essentially, I'm happy to give a few tips, but anything beyond that, we would have to go into a paid engagement. And Jessica says, it's perfectly fine to say, I'm not sure, but I will look into it and get back to you. And in fact, I don't know that I would get back to them. They're not a client. Okay. So unless I really felt like I had to get back to them in a discovery call situation, I wouldn't feel like I needed to, depending on the situation. Anita says, that is exactly what I say. I follow up with all businesses are unique and have different needs, and will research to see what I find. Yes. And every business is unique. In fact, have become even more unique for a lot of different reasons. So next question is, what do I offer during that discovery call? One of the things that I struggled with in the beginning was that, okay, I've talked to the prospective clients. Sometimes it could be 45 minutes, an hour. We had great rapport. I kind of had an idea what they need, but I would just, at the end of the call, just say, okay, well, I will follow up with a proposal and send that to you. Okay. Well, okay. So I didn't offer anything during the discovery call. I told them I would send a proposal. It probably took me a week to 2 weeks to prepare the proposal. And then I never heard from them again. So it was a complete waste of time. So what I found is that I needed to offer something in that discovery call. So here are 3 things that you can offer. One is if and the first one, the 15-minute smart review, I would offer if I wasn't super comfortable offering a paid diagnostic review, but there is an option to offer just a 15-minute, what I call the smart review, just a quick free diagnosis of their books. Usually I will offer this or just really review the books for 15 minutes if they tell me that their books are clean, or I had a bookkeeper and they're retiring and I just need someone else to take it over. I will go in and review certain things to know that, okay, these books are clean. And it's also a strategy to quickly show your expertise. So if you're talking to someone on Zoom and maybe they're saying like, oh, I have some problems with my undeposited funds or my unapplied cash payment income, that you can ask them to, hey, can you open your QuickBooks and share your screen and we can look at it really quick. So it's just a quick way. It's free, a quick way just to look at the books. The second option is the paid diagnostic review. And I generally now offer only the paid diagnostic review for cleanups. Okay, so cleanups and books that are out of date that need to be caught up, I offer a paid diagnostic review. And then if they have never done their bookkeeping, don't have any sort of, they're not using QuickBooks or any accounting software, if they're maybe trying to use spreadsheets, then I will do a paid bookkeeping needs analysis and essentially charge them to see, like, what do you have? Because we have to figure out even what you have. Are you commingling, not commingling? And figure out what they have so that we can do their bookkeeping. And here's where I then go into recommending a service. So after we go through, as I said, that that initial discovery where I'm going to learn about them. I'm going to ask more questions, take my notes. Then I'm going to recommend a service. So in this case, let's say that I was recommending a paid diagnostic review. So what I will say is I recommend doing a paid diagnostic review of your books so that I can get a clear picture of what's wrong with them. And at the end of my review, I will go over my findings with you, and I will also give you upfront pricing for my services. So notice that we're not trying to convince people. We're not trying to force them. We're not trying to like push something on them. We're really now advisors recommending a service that would, and obviously, if they don't need a diagnostic review, if they don't need the services that you provide, by all means, tell them. But if assuming that they need these services, we will recommend services. Now, many of you ask, how do I convince someone that they need my services? Okay, how do I convince them? Well, in my opinion, you cannot convince them. Okay, there's no way to just convince someone that they need your services when they don't see the value. And sometimes you'll have issues too, like maybe they want to work with you, but they can't afford you. And that has happened a lot to me. But we have to understand that there is value and there's perceived value even. And what you offer, which might be a $30 plate of tacos. And by the way, this is at the Austin Taco Project. These were $10 a piece for each taco. Okay. But they were like the best tacos I ever had. Okay. But maybe what you're selling is the $30 plate of tacos. And what the person wants is just 2 tacos for 99 cents at Jack in the Box. Okay. When I know some of you love those tacos too, but you cannot, there's no way that if someone wants to pay 99 cents for tacos, you cannot convince them that they need to pay $30. Okay. And there's a whole other webinar I can do on value and communication of value. But the takeaway here is that we cannot convince people if they don't see the value. And so don't try to force people into something that they don't see it. Okay. That's the takeaway here. How do I get rid of tire kickers? Okay. Tire kickers are the people who are cheap, who don't want to pay. Maybe they want that 99-cent taco and they're not going to pay any more than that because that, in their mindset, that's all they want to pay. Okay. How do I spot tire kickers? They usually will start out, even before you ever get them on a call, they always lead with how much. How much do you charge? Okay, they're not concerned about what you might do, about the value that they might receive from working with you, about the relationship. They just are concerned with how much, okay? Many of them want free advice, so they try to take over the conversation and get that free advice from you. And many of them are like, well, can I hire you to show me how I can clean up my books, okay? And so you need to learn to spot those signs of the tire kicker so that then you can, know in advance that's the type of personality that you are dealing with, and then know how to really stop wasting time because they will probably never be a good client or a good prospective client for you. So one of the things that I do with all clients is to provide upfront pricing. So as I said, I always offer a service during the discovery call. So it may be the paid diagnostic review. It may be a paid bookkeeping needs analysis. I have certain fixed pricing that I use for those services so that I know, I don't have to sit there and think about it. I know exactly how much I'm going to charge for those services. And so by providing that prospective client with upfront pricing, if they're very, very price sensitive, they're just going to say, oh, okay, no, that's more than what I would like to pay. And then they end the call. So that's a good way to filter out those clients that are not a good fit for you. And then another strategy that I use, and again, for all clients, is that I provide ballpark pricing because many of them during the conversation, we'll ask, well, okay, yes, I understand how much you charge for a diagnostic review, but how much will the cleanup be? Or how much will the monthly bookkeeping be? And so what I tell them is just to give you an idea of what to expect for a company your size, the price for, say, monthly bookkeeping services typically ranges from $300 to $500 a month, or whatever your pricing is. So you need to be able to give that client some sort of ballpark figure so that they have an expectation, and then you're qualifying them to see if that's something they're willing to pay. Now, if you're new to bookkeeping, you may not know what those price ranges are, and I understand. So try to give a range as best as you can, and then as you get more clients, you'll have more information to really know what you charge for your services. And also, it's just a ballpark figure. Okay, I'm just saying they typically pay this amount, so I'm not committing to it. I'm just giving them a ballpark figure, and usually I will say I won't know how much to charge you after I do the paid analysis. And here's another strategy. So let's say that you're talking to somebody and now, like, I do not want to work with this person. We would not be a good fit for working together. And you need to be able to say no. Okay. I used to feel like I have to rescue everybody. I have to take on every client. We have to do everything. And when I started saying no to the wrong clients, that's actually when my business grew and when we became a lot more profitable. So here's something that you can say. Thank you so much for sharing about your business. Based on what you have told me, I don't think I'm the best person to work with you and to the best fit for your needs. But I really appreciate the opportunity to connect. And what you can do is just refer them to someone else. And don't feel bad. If this is business, okay, we're not required to take on every client. We are business owners. We can decide who we work with. All right. Oh, Sandra says just got back from Austin. Wish I need to go experience it. She's talking about the tacos from the Austin Taco Project. Yeah, Austin seems to have tacos everywhere. So there may be better tacos than the ones I mentioned. But I know some of you love your tacos, and it is a Tuesday. So it's your opportunity to do Taco Tuesday today. Okay, so let's go to the next section. How do I ask for the sale? It's very simple, okay? We just need to have the magic question. This is a very low pressure way to really allow your prospective client to make a decision, okay? So the question is, would you like to move forward with these services? Okay, very low pressure on you, on them. You don't sound salesy. You don't sound pushy. You're just leading them down leading them down the path of getting to a point where they need to make a decision. The decision may be yes, it may be no, maybe they're not sure. So it'll be one of those. Okay. So if they say yes, I would like to move forward with a paid diagnostic review, then send your engagement letter and invoice and let them know that's what you will be doing. If they're not sure, send an email with details of what you discussed, the recommended service, the pricing for your service. Follow up multiple times. Okay. It's not good enough to just like, I sent this information and maybe a month later I'm going to follow up because they didn't respond to me and I guess they're ghosting me. No, they're busy. So you do need to follow up multiple times. And if their answer is no, then move on. Just thank them for their time. They're not a good fit. You move on. So just to wrap up, what are the biggest lessons that I learned? Listen and take notes. Have a desire to help. I think when we focus on having a desire to help, to really help people, instead of like, I need a sale, I need this client, I got to make money. That's way too much pressure. Just if you focus on how can I help this person, even if it means we're not going to work together, but I can point them in the right direction. That is a way to help people. Point them in the right direction. Maybe refer them to someone else. Maybe even, you know what, I'm not the best fit for what you're looking for, but here are some things that you should consider as you talk to other bookkeepers. So an example of that, when I would talk to e-commerce clients who wanted, let's say, inventory consulting, and then that is not something that I did. But I could tell from the questions they were asking that they were probably asking the wrong questions or maybe didn't quite know what to ask. And so I would say, you know what, I'm not the best person to work with you on this. Here are a few inventory experts that are in my network that you can contact. And by the way, here are some questions that you may want to ask them. So I genuinely wanted to help them. They weren't a good fit. I pointed them in the right direction. Next, recommend and don't sell. Okay, so if we are in the mindset of recommending, we're not selling, we're not pushy, it's not pressure, we're just recommending a service. Offer a paid diagnosis, a paid diagnostic review, a bookkeeping needs analysis. Again, offer that during your discovery call. Give them ballpark pricing so that they can have an idea of how much you charge. Remember the magic question, would you like to move forward? And be willing to walk away if you're not a good fit. I know in the beginning it's hard. We need clients, we need money. I have been there. And sometimes we take those clients who are less than ideal. But if you know that this person is not, like, we are not a good fit, they're maybe you can tell that they are procrastinators and abusive, whatever that is. They don't respect you, or they have these expectations that you can't meet. It's totally okay to be willing to walk away when you're not a good fit. All right, let's share some resources with you guys. You can go to my YouTube channel at 5mbvideo.com, where we have long form content as well as short videos that you can watch. If you haven't done so already, subscribe. I would appreciate your support. You can go to 5MB Academy to look at all of my free and paid courses and resources. And if you haven't done so already, sign up to be notified about my latest content, webinars, and courses. You have the link there, and you have the QR code to scan that. And you look at a couple of comments here. Jessica says 100% true that they will ghost you if you just send a proposal. And you require a paid diagnostic review for every prospect. Absolutely. And in fact, another lesson I learned is do not send proposals. Okay. Do not take the time to write something up that, formal, and we got to, spend a week writing a proposal. I just send an email, a short email. Here's what we discussed. Here's the service. Here's the price. Send it. Don't take more than 5 minutes, because it ultimately is a waste of time. All right, so let's continue on. I wanted to quickly tell you about 5MB Academy. As I said, this is my online education website where I train bookkeepers and help them to build a bookkeeping business and life of their dreams. And I wanted to tell you about a brand new resource that we have just published and unveiled today. And in fact, as I told you, when I started out, I struggled so much with the idea of selling. I didn't want to have any part of selling. I didn't want people selling to me. I just, it was like, okay, I will do selling just because I'm a business owner, but I really don't want to do it. It stresses me out. And as I said, I would take weeks sometimes to get back to a client with a proposal, because it was just so stressful. So is this you? Do you feel like I felt? Have you felt like you're stumbling through a discovery call, hoping that the client doesn't ask you something you don't know, or hoping they don't ask you about pricing or something that stresses you out? Are you uncomfortable with bringing up money conversations? And I'm raising my hand because, yes, that was me. Have you been struggling with how to follow up without feeling pushy or awkward? Because that's why we don't follow up, because we think we're being pushy. Do you worry that clients will ask something you don't know and you don't have the answer? Are you sick of wondering what to say when someone pushes back on your rates, or worse, when they ghost you after a great conversation? So if this is you, here is what I recommend. Well, we have just, as I said, launched um, a new paid resource on 5MB Academy called the Bookkeeper Sales Script Vault. And it's the ultimate done-for-you scripts and sales conversation toolkit for bookkeepers who want to book more clients without feeling salesy. The resource includes, first of all, I'm calling it a resource because you may know that I do like online courses where you have to go through many hours of training, which is great, but I wanted to give you something that you can take and apply like right now. So you don't have to go through hours of training. This is done for you materials. It includes a simple selling strategies that you can use right now, a pre-discovery call essential. So even how to, like, what do you do to even get that prospective client to book that call with you? Discovery call scripts, confident conversation scripts. So if the client asks you something, you have a script now for what you need to say. Proposal delivery scripts, handling objection scripts, follow-up email templates. And as a bonus, I even included a prospect personality playbook where I go through, I think it's either 12 or more different personality types that I have come across when doing my discovery calls, so that you can spot their personality based on what they say. So remember, I talked about the person who's the tire kicker and that they ask you certain things. Well, there are like 12 more personality types that you need to be aware of. With this resource, you get lifetime access. So once you purchase the resource, you get immediate access. It's all online. You can download everything and use it, and you get lifetime access to it. So how much does it cost? Okay, so the regular price is $197. We're offering a special launch sale discount of 25%. So the course is now $147.75. So to get that discount, you need to use the discount code 5MB Vault in the checkout. The sale runs for a week, so it'll end on Tuesday, May 27th. So if you are interested, then follow the link or follow the QR scan, or scan the QR code rather, and you learn more about that. But if you really feel like, hey, you know what? I need so much more help. Well, we put together a special sales success bundle for you. It includes the Bookkeeper Sales Script Vault, the simple pricing system, so you can learn about my pricing system and how I price monthly bookkeeping services, a client onboarding checklist, a mastering engagement letters resource where you get all of the engagement letters done for you, and the Bookkeeper's Guide to Confident Client Communication with done-for-you scripts, so you can talk to clients more confidently, and even have ChatGPT prompts to learn how to ask ChatGPT to tell you, what do I say if my client says X? All right, so this bundle regularly $497, on sale now for $342.75. Same discount code, and there's the link and the QR code. So my question to you now, if this is you and this is something that you are interested in, would you like to move forward? And if so, then again, follow the links to learn about both resources. I'll leave that up for a few minutes so that if you're interested, you can take a look. All right, so I'm going to move on to Q&A. Oh, we're doing great with time. I'm so excited. Usually I run over a little bit. So this is fantastic. Let me kind of get this in front of me for a little, move this around. Let me just take a look at the chat. So Jill has shared the links with you as well in the chat. And Richard says, if I like selling, I'd go into sales and make a lot more money. faster. Yes, and I agree, because if I were, one of these super duper salespeople, I probably would go into sales too. And so, um, but we have to offer our services to clients and have a process for them to make a decision whether we would be a good fit for working together. So it's better than just letting them take over and hope that they will sign up for our services. All right, let me go to the Q&A really quick. And Monique says, what if you don't have anyone to recommend them to? Well, this is where you need to if you're not already involved in my Facebook group, for example, join my Facebook group. It's called 5-Minute Bookkeeping Community, so that you can then network with other bookkeepers, and have maybe a handful of bookkeepers that maybe this person specializes in cleanups, this other person specializes in e-commerce, this other person does restaurants, and then you can send those clients their way. And if you don't worry about it, but work toward having a network of bookkeepers, CPAs, consultants that you can refer clients to. Wendy's asking, do you agree with giving them a time limit on deciding whether or not they want your services? I would say yes, in the sense that I would probably incentivize them with the pricing that I give to them. So this pricing is good for a week or whatever, to then incentivize them. Renata is asking, do you think it's wise to record the discovery call, or would that make prospects nervous? I've never recorded a discovery call. However, if you're going to record any call on Zoom, especially, you need to ask for permission. I think I would want to tell that prospective client why I'm recording it. Maybe it's just for training purposes, or maybe it's just so that we can have it for our records, and then let them decide whether they would let you record or not. But you should ask for permission. Renata is asking, how much do you charge for the paid diagnostic review, and do the prices vary? I have done other webinars, Renata, showing my pricing for diagnostic reviews. You can find that in my YouTube channel. We have a playlist now for diagnostic reviews. But typically, for when I would do diagnostic reviews, I would start at a minimum of $750 for a year per company. Obviously, I had done many diagnostic reviews at that time, and they went all the way up to even $2,500, depending on the size of the company. But hey, just charge. Okay, so maybe you're comfortable at $300, start with that. And then as you gain more confidence, just increase your pricing. Wendy's asking, how can I tell if we will be a good fit by one conversation? Most of my clients are stressed out when I first talk to them. I think part of that, Wendy, is understanding their personality type, and where they're coming from. Also, the fact that one of the reasons why I offer a paid diagnostic review or a paid analysis is because that gives me the opportunity to work with that client in a short project. And so if then we find out during that short project that, okay, we're not a good fit, I don't have to continue with them for other services. But I think as you do more calls with prospects, that you will learn to identify a personality that's good for you or your team versus someone that maybe is not a good fit. Wendy's asking, what do you need from the client to do a quick review, and what additional information to do a paid diagnostic review? Okay, so the SMART review, I'm going to ask Jill to put the link for you to sign up for the free SMART review checklist. So that is a free offering that I have on 5MB Academy. And hopefully Jill will share that link with you. And then the additional information to do a paid diagnostic review, there's quite a bit more involved. And I do have a paid course That is a QBO paid diagnostic review course, also on 5MB Academy. And if Jill, if you can share that link too, that would be great. Daisy is asking, what if a client is asking for training, free advice, and is not part of their contracted scope of work? So I think we're talking now if they are a client and they're asking for things that is not part of their engagement letter. So we should have a written and signed engagement letter outlining what we do. And so if they're asking for anything outside of that engagement letter, then I just tell them that, hey, this is outside of our signed engagement letter, and I would be happy to give you pricing for the additional services. And then they can tell you yes or no. But do not give free services away. We tend to do that just because we're uncomfortable doing that. And so remember in the sales success bundle, I talked about the guide to confident clients communication. So that is where I have all the scripts for when clients ask for these things and we don't know what to say, or I don't know what to say to increase their pricing. I don't know what to say if they ask for something that is outside of their engagement letter. All those scripts are in that resource. Rhonda is asking, to avoid tire kickers and price shoppers, what are your thoughts on listing prices on your website, even if it's a range of starts at? I've never listed pricing on my website. Not specifically. Actually, I take that back. I've had a section on pricing, and I have given some starting prices, and actually, yes, I have done that. I think that I would consider that a slightly more advanced technique. So here's what my opinion. Okay, I think that you should talk to as many prospective clients as you can in the beginning, because it's going to help you develop your skills in talking to people and offering services and pricing. And so even if they say no, you at least have developed your skills and your confidence to talk to people. I got to a point where I don't need to talk to more than, say, 4 prospective clients a month, because I have a very good process, a very good sales process. We already have a book of business. And so we're really looking to work with really high quality premium clients. And so I use the strategy of then listing those starting prices because I don't need to talk to that many people anymore. I know exactly who I want to work with. And I don't mind if I only get 4 sales calls a month instead of maybe, 10 sales calls a month. All right, let's see. Vin is asking, how much time do you normally need between the discovery call and the diagnostic review? So assuming that first of all, the client has to sign the engagement letter and pay upfront for my team to then have started the diagnostic review. And so once it was started and we got everything we needed from the client, we would try to turn it around in a week. Sometimes 2, depending on how busy we are. Uyi is asking, how do you charge for the bookkeeping needs review? What factors do you consider when completing the review? I would probably just charge a fixed fee. And by the way, I will be publishing a new course, hopefully end of the year or beginning of next year, on the bookkeeping needs analysis. And so I will get into a lot more of, how to do it, how to price it, how to communicate your value. But I think at this point, I would just have a fixed price that I would charge, or maybe have like a low, medium, high range for what I would charge for it. Ruby Mar is asking, if a client goes from receiving quarterly reports to needing weekly custom Excel reports, would you think a price increase is fair? Absolutely. So if a client is asking for anything that is beyond what you're actually providing, of course, you should be charging more, and that requires an additional engagement letter for that service. Vin is asking, how much time do you normally need? No, I've already got that one. Okay. Renata is asking, do you ever ask for the most recent tax return when doing a diagnostic review? Yes, that is part of what we would ask for. Mohammed is asking, how can one reach out and find clients as virtual bookkeeper not available in the U.S.? I don't know. I know I see that question a lot, and unfortunately, I do not know just because I am in the U.S. But the way that I found most of my clients was by creating content on YouTube. And okay, so last question. Renata's asking, I'm confused what you're saying. Do not send them proposals. I know you say we must get paid for diagnostic review, but after you get paid, aren't you creating a proposal? I don't do anything that causes me to spend time creating a document that is called a proposal. I may send an email with my proposed services. I may even attach a PDF of like, here's your bookkeeping package and 3 pricing tiers. But I do not do a formal proposal that might take me hours and hours to do, just because that is too time consuming. And I found it was just, it was just a time suck for me. As long as the client is getting the information that they need, or the, an email, a nice email, maybe a quick attachment, I think that's plenty. All right. Very good. Okay. So thank you so much, guys, for joining me today. Let me switch back to my camera. So thank you for joining me today. Take a look at the new resources that I shared with you, the new Bookkeepers Sales Script Vault, and then our Sales Success Bundle. And if you purchase it, let me know what you think, and we will see you next month. Bye, everyone.